and welcome back. My name is Sophie, as you know, and today I thought I'd talk a little bit about the relationships in the Keep of the Lost Cities series. Okay, so if you've seen me on fandom, you know that I'm a Keefe shipper. I mean, my name is Keefe Girl, and I post a lot of stuff about that. I posted something recently, and then went in this big conversation about fits and opinions, and it was really weird and super annoying at points. So I'm going to try my best not to be biased, but sometimes I can't help myself. In the first book, when Sophie first comes to the Lost City, she develops a huge crush on Fitz, which she keeps throughout the series. In book 7, when they're together and alone in a room in Fitz's house, they actually share their feelings and realize that they both like each other. Then they're about to share a kiss when Sylvanie interrupts them with a problem. In book 8, they finally do start dating and then break up later for several different reasons, which I won't go into just yet. The second relationship is Sophie and Keefe, which is personally my favorite. I love to think that Keefe is actually Sophie's best friend, even though she says Dex is, because let's be honest, Sophie spends a lot more time with Keefe than she does with anyone else. In book 8, we really start to see a little bit more chemistry between Sophie and Keefe, especially because they're working together on a project and he is going through some really hard stuff that Sophie is helping him through. Book 8 was also a little intense, and especially considering that it was Keith's legacy book. So when Keith goes through this little transformation thing that his mom did, Sophie is by his bedside almost every day waiting for him to wake up and leaves when Fitz convinced her to. In Unlocked, Keith ends up pushing Sophie away and they don't spend as much time together as they would. Keith is trying to protect Sophie from his weird new ability, which I thought was a really bad idea because he obviously has a crush on Sophie, which we see in Keith's memories, but then he pushes her away, and then, in the end, spoiler alert, he leaves for the Forbidden Cities, leaving Sophie a super sweet note that we don't know what the reaction is to, and I was really mad about that, but I'll just have to wait for the next book. Unlocked was also a part where Fitz and Sophie get closer together because Fitz is now trying to help Sophie find out what happened to Keefe and what his mom wants to do with his new ability. Fitz is a bit nicer in this book. As we recall from Legacy, he was very mean to her and lashed out at her for letting Alvar go. But in Unlocked, he seems to be more in control of his emotions and isn't lashing out as much as he used to. Okay, so third, I guess I'll talk about Sophie and Bianna. I haven't seen much of this, but sometimes it'll come up. In fandom, a lot of people will talk about Sophiana, which is Sophie and Bianna shipped, which I don't agree with, but I'll talk about it anyway. So, Sophie and Bianna weren't really good friends in the beginning, and they only became friends because Alden had convinced Bianna to befriend Sophie. In the end, Sophie was angry at her because she found out that she'd been forced to be her friend, but eventually they become really close and become good friends. I don't really know why people ship them because I don't really see any chemistry between them. So if you have any ideas of Bianna and Sophie's chemistry, please ping me on fandom and I will look at what you said because I don't see any chemistry between them. Okay, so I know some people still ship them, but we obviously know they're not going to get together and that they're not for each other. Dex and Sophie. This, I believe their first kiss was in the second, possibly third book. I'm not sure, I don't remember. But Sophie and Dex were working together to try to find a gadget that would stop Sophie's enhancing ability, and he had made her crush cuffs, which are basically these little bracelets that say two names, and they said Sophie plus Dex. And Sophie was a bit shocked by this because she did not like Dex, but Dex had liked her, and this is when he finally admits it. Sophie didn't want to hurt his feelings because they were best friends. And they talked about this a little bit, and then she finally told Dex to close his eyes and then kissed him, which I thought was a very bold move for Sophie, but it also only made it worse because she didn't have a crush on Dex, but she didn't want to hurt his feelings, so she decides to kiss him. I thought that was not a very good move, but Sophie does Sophie, and she does some things that are really shocking at times. If you ship Sophie and Dex, no offense, but I think that they're just not for each other. Like, they would not make a good couple. Bianna had found out about this when she was helping Sophie get ready for, I believe it was planting, and she'd seen the crush cuffs. Keith guessed the story, and Fitz also guessed the story, and Sophie verified it for him. Next is Sophie and Tam. No one really actually ships them, but I have seen a few people do it. I don't think that it would really work because Tam and Sophie are so different and they barely spend any time together, so I just don't think that it would work. But some people say it can, and I mean, sure, it could work. It probably wouldn't be a very close relationship, but they can try it. I don't think it would work. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the relationships that Fitz is involved in. I personally ship Flynn, which is Fitz and Lynn, because I think they would make a good couple. Like, we all know that when Lynn always tries hydrokinetics, Keith and Fitz will always say wow, which Sophie was really jealous about. But I think that they would make a good couple because they seem very similar and they both have like the same interests. And that's like the only person that would go with Fitz other than Sophie. Okay, so now we come to Keith. Some people ship Keith and Bianna, but I really don't think that that's just... No, I just can't see it. Some people ship Keith and Tam, and I mean, I know like it seems like there's a lot of romantic tension with them, but they really would not work. It would just like collapse within 2 minutes. Oh, Bianna and Tam though. That could work. Like, in Unlocked, we find out that Bianna has a crush on Tam. And I was like, finally, someone to go with Tam. Because there was, like, no one for him. And then we finally find out, okay, Bianna has a crush on him, and that's perfect. I also think that Bianna and Dex would make a super good couple. I feel like they would be perfect for each other. So I think those are all of the relationships. I don't know if there are any others. There probably are a lot more that I don't know about or that I didn't mention. I guess I didn't really go into the side characters. Oh, Wylan though, I feel like that could work, but Wiley is so much older than Lynn and it would be a little weird. But they are super close. It's just so weird for them to be dating if they're so far apart. So anyway, I think that's all of the relationships. If I missed any, didn't want to go into those. And we already know that Sander and Grizzle are in a relationship and that Bo and Ro are married. But I think that's it. Please give this video a thumbs up and I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. And don't forget to check out my sisters at LNEC. Bye!